This is Dean.
Hey Dean, it's Glenn.
Hey.
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 Okay, so I'm gonna record our call. I'm gonna ask you some stuff and just basically, just tell it, like how you feel as far as
Okay.
things go. And I'm looking at the Mountain Mist
Yep.
property, which is pretty sweet.
Yep.
Really came out good. So yeah,
Yeah.
so tell me, like, do you think do you like the the Matterport stuff and then what tell me about it. What do you think about it?
I think it's almost like next generation in the sense of where it is going, especially in a property like this, where that you can have people preview before they preview. I mean,
Sure.
you can virtually have somebody walk through and get a feel for the layout and what the house feels like almost from just being able to walk through the property. So I think to some degree, probably what ends up happening is you get more of a qualified buyer once that they've actually seen it. The challenge is whether or not that that they actually look at it before that they've ever gotten there. Because I'm not sure that with the venue the way that it is, as far as our MLS, it's that virtual thing is just a small little tidbit at the bottom. They won't let you put any kind of a web link in any of the remarks. You can do it in the agent to agent, but then they're not seeing that part.
Well, I
So
mean, but if you go to realtor.com, you go to
yeah,
Homes, Truly, and Zillow, they have
yes,
the link that they can click on, and
true,
once that happens, and that's really the point. I mean, this kind of media
yep,
gives especially in your market, you have a lot of people that they have the means and they have the personality to buy properties without looking at it much. I mean, people coming in
right,
from out of town, and then other people that So what's nice is that and like you said, it develops a more qualified buyer because
correct,
now you just happen to have a gorgeous property. I mean,
yeah,
so you don't have like an objectionable property,
right, right.
and so
Although you would be surprised in this price range, because that in this price range there's no travertine on the floor, and you know what I mean.
right.
There's it's an interesting dilemma because it's been on the market for quite a while. Obviously, continue to try and hit the price to get it down, but it's an interesting dichotomy how that in this price range, if you've made kind of very specific choices and not kind of the standard choices, that it creates some sort of
Right.
a block. But anybody's going to come in and do whatever they're going to do anyway. So
Right, but at this point, Section 10, someone looking, they
yep,
see some of the things that have been done. You might get more for it versus not having really showcasing, because this really showcases the property. What I like about it is that the front part and the pool area. I mean,
yeah,
I'm there.
yeah,
I'm sniffing the cork, in
yep, yep,
that cellar,
right, yep,
the wine
yep,
cellar, and so what I see is that, like you said, it develops the qualified buyer better because it's eliminating the looky loos, so there's less
yep,
people. This property is empty at this point. I'm not sure if it is now, but the thing is
yep,
that it eliminates the family having to uproot themselves all the
yep,
time for that. And then the other thing that's nice is that this property is in Section 10. So the
hmm,
more scans that you get in Section 10, you then can it's a dual purpose. People that they want to buy in Section 10, you have a couple different properties, and they see the different kind of things. You then become the authority for people wanting to buy there, but then you also become the marketing authority for people that want to sell.
I'll
Because
tell you too. One of the things that they're sort of friends of mine of sorts. Like I've had a dinner in that kitchen, which was phenomenal. And they kept cracking open bottles of wine that they just go and grab, and they're, $100 bottles of wine too. It's not like, anything cheap. But anyway, the one thing that I said to them, I said, how many properties that are on the market right now do you think have this virtual tour? And they said, I don't know, probably half of them or something. I said, try zero. Try none. I said, the thing about most realtors is that they do the minimum. They want to do, back 2 years ago, you got by with putting on one picture, and it was gone in 2 days. You know what I mean? So that somewhere along the way, they got lazy. Not that there hasn't always been that issue, but they got lazy, and now they really have to market. They really have to put things places. And the nice thing about this is that I continued to do something kind of every so often, because when you have a property this long, and obviously you keep trying to get them to lower it, but it's in an area where the absorption rate is 1 every 8 months. So the thing that it's allowed me to do is also kind of bring value, the added value, because I didn't do it right away. Right. So I first had it professionally shot, and then so I had the little marketing video thing that they have. And then as time went on, it was like I would add this and I would add that. Now, so it just shows them that I'm continually trying to come up with another resource, another marketing, venue or possibility that could help our, numbers and views and things like that. So that's been a definite value add. Yeah. And that not everybody does it, I think that's a big deal.
Well, the other thing is the fact that you are on the innovative side and you're using a technology that makes sense to everybody.
Yes.
Even if you do this up front, you're sort of adding value. So when the time comes and you need to reduce the price, they're looking at how the kind of exposure that the property's getting and the kind of marketing, because this kind of marketing versus anything else, this opens the market to people that might not people that are flying in or not they're not available. They're able to see this anywhere in the world. You're opening up the market to other buyers versus typical.
The only thing that I'll tell you that I told Dave is that the only thing that I think that's missing, and if it's there and I just don't know it, is I get from Realtor.com and Trulia and a couple of different places, I get a weekly report that comes out that I can then send to my seller that says, this is the exposure, this is what we did, this is how many people looked at it, this is up or down from last week, that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something that if, it's not in place, obviously that would be something that I would definitely work toward.
Sure.
Because that's a big sell for those of us in the business.
Yeah, we can hook up analytics for you and do that. So I'll get that set up for you so you have it. But basically, the analytics show that people they spend like 7 minutes going through through the property.
Well, it's almost like a video game, like
right.
You're walking around. The only thing that I'm kind of a little bit like, I didn't realize when he was doing it, kind of the detail that it was gonna take on. So I didn't realize that what we should have had it done is probably had it, painted or at least touched up, because they've left like a hook or a nail there and here, and you walk right up to the nail on the wall,
Yeah.
Oh, there's a nail right there. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
No, totally, and that's. But that's the thing. The thing about this is that it is something like someone else just mentioned that let's say you have a property that might need a little work here and there. If you have to the seller, people come in and out of the property as they're looking at 5 or 6 properties a day, and without this, they're not going to be able to remember everything. So with this. Sure. Let's say something needs a little work. Well, you're able to then, they can walk through it together and say, okay, honey, this needs a little work. All right, well, I'm good with that.
True. And you can lay out what you need to do, and then that way you can craft an offer from that too. Just to say this is what we look this is what it's worth to us, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I'm up in the upstairs bedroom, the far left, and it has a unique layout, right? And this is something that you would not get by photos or video. Like you would be forced to walk through. But now I can look at the room and move it around from each corner of the room to see. Okay, so this is where the bed's going to be. It could be here, it could be here, and I could be here and here. And the ability to interact with it and size up the property is something that you can't get in an open house. If you'll show up, but then you can look at 5 other properties. By the time you're done, you're like, okay, what was the size of that room?
Well, and it's something that I always tell buyers when I'm taking buyers out that we really don't want to see 13 properties today, because by the time that you're done, you will have put the kitchen that was in the first house in the 5th house, and the 3 bedrooms that you thought were bigger is not going to be in that one that you thought. You know what I mean? So you move things around in your head. By the time that you're done, you don't remember which one went where, and you'd have to go back and review. So you're right. It's a good ability to kind of send that back out. I was just thinking that I'll send the video link to the agent that was just there recently to kind of give her a re-up and see what she was thinking.
Almost like that. How you asked for the feedback. It'd be something to put in. Hey, here's something to don't forget just to have them look at this. If they're trying to size up property, because it's a service that the buyer's agent should be providing. It's like, hey, here's that one of the properties. Here are the ones that have the 3D tours, and that way it gives a service. Because what we're finding is people are spending 7 minutes at least on a scan, and then they figure out, oh yeah, okay, now this isn't going to work for us, and then they share it with their loved one or a family or friend. That's true.
Yeah, if they're earnest and looking at it pretty seriously, definitely you want to keep it and send it around. Yeah.
Right. So all the properties that you represent, by having this, you have a tool or a way of getting the property seen a lot more than anything else that doesn't have it, because people are going to come back to it, then they share it, and then next thing you know, the primary has spent maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, by looking at it, talking on the phone with grandma. Hey, just look at this. This is where your room's going to be, that kind of thing, and everyone can visualize it. So, I just think that it's a good. Now, the other thing is that once this property's sold, this scan still works for you. You put it on a page of Section 10 homes, and here's this style, here's that style, and then you become...
Check out, part of one of my marketing pieces kind of thing, yep.
Right.
Sure. Right. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so now what would you say, how was Virtualistic 3D and how was Dave in handling this from the time you contacted them?
Dave's good. Dave's kind of like one of my buddies at work. I mean, he's definitely... somebody that we both are very into technology, and so he's always, he goes the extra step. Like, I keep talking. I know enough about SEO and things that I know I should be doing video generally, and I just have not ever taken this jump. You know what I mean? I just haven't taken and made the commitment to do it. And so, but yeah, I trust Dave, and so I just basically let him do his thing, and he did a great job. So
was he prompt? Did he get it done good?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, and I to be honest, I know he said I don't know, 100 and something points that he had to do in the place to make it do what it did. So right. I mean, he did go pretty extensive to get it done. And yeah, he's a good guy, and he's somebody that I do tend to, bounce stuff off of if I'm stuck somewhere with technology. He's the guy that I know that he's up on the latest stuff too.
That's
so
awesome.
Him and I, touch base quite a bit, just over, different various things that are going on.
Good. So you see this as a tool that you're going to be using,
I do. Yep. I don't have a ton of other listings right now, but I think and not that it couldn't work, I guess, for everyone. And maybe that's the standard mode or something that I should just start to do, is to just try to realize that everybody gets the same treatment. But I would say definitely, a certain level of home warrants it, and is something, is going to sell my service over somebody else's.
Right, but definitely. But if you look at the fact that the scan, excuse me, the scan for the property is just the first leg of the race. By after the property's sold, you're going to be using it for years. You're going to be able to,
right.
If you create the content on some place and say, hey, look, here's all the Section 10 homes that I've done, and
that's true.
And then people are like,
yep.
Well, hey Dean, we like the one that has the thing up top with the little cubby hole where you can have a little office there. And Oh, okay, yeah. Or
yep.
Hey, we like this split master. Yeah, no problem. And then that just breeds more sales. And as if more buyers come to you because you're showing them, because that's the tough part. Most sites, when you go to a website and you look for Section 10, they show you the front gate of the development. Whoopie-doo.
Yeah.
That doesn't really help me. Where
right.
if I have a couple different floor plans, it starts provoking thought. The fact that I'm staying on your website at 7 minutes a pop for some of these I'm looking at, I've now spent 30 minutes, 45 minutes, where the average time on a website is 2 minutes. You're building a intrinsic value with the person that might be contacting you, and so long as your branding's there,
yep.
they're going to be like, wow, I just had this great experience on Dean's sphere. And I go anywhere else. When I look for Section 10, I'm getting pictures of Willie, the security guard out front.
It's the thing about this business is that you are constantly in a chase, right? You're constantly running around, and you got 15 different hats to shove the technology hat on, which I tend to enjoy. It's just one of those where sometimes you don't think enough to stop. And turn around, because it does, like you said, I'm sure that all of that is good value, and I don't even have, like, on any of my sites right now, I don't have this video plopped, right up front and center.
Right.
And when you said that, I thought I should do that. I should take the time, stop, and put this, there, so I can, make it to be, the next time somebody comes in, people won't read, but they'll push a play button.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, and it should be something that I take the time to do.
Well, the biggest thing is that when you do put it on your sphere, the search engines are going to notice, because when people, if you make it right and they start playing with it, the Section 10 home for sale keyword is going to jump. Because people are spending 7 to 15 minutes on that one page. So,
sure.
And then the other thing is that sellers look at it and say, "Wow, now I've not looked at everything that you've done, but you've got a good presentation when you do your marketing." So if two people come in and they have similar credentials as far as amount of sales, and that they know the Section 10 area, the defining factor is going to be how you're using this technology, and on top of it, not just the technology, because if you look at some of the Matterport scans that have been done, they don't do the outside, they don't handle some of the things that Dave does. So Dave has a little craftsmanship to it that will give you a market distinction versus other people that might get a Matterport scan from some guy. So
sure.
That's where you're, and that's something you should, when you do your listening presentations, you should say, hey, listen, people spend more time on this. They spend 7 minutes at the very least. They, more as people go out on open houses, this is a hook and retains them longer, versus they maybe there's a property that's neck and neck, but it doesn't have a scan, and they looked at it, but they don't. It's like, I'm not sure. But they keep coming back here, and they get sold. They see the things. They get sold.
And the amazing thing to me is that realtors don't even take the time to take the pictures. So,
right.
That's the part that they don't even realize they're missing out on, the ability for somebody to convey, for it to be conveyed to them that this is the property that they want to look at, because they're taking bad pictures. And it may not be any, I just I didn't get the listing presentation, but I didn't present that I was going to do this either. So there you go. But
Right. Well,
one of the things that was done on this house, though, is they've been on the market 6 months, and they're a little overpriced, which I was very honest about. But nobody showcased the house. Nobody did their job. They took really dark pictures. The photos made the carpet look like almost mauve, like it was dated, and so it didn't give a full experience for them to understand that they needed to take a look.
right.
So yeah, that could have been a pull in too, and I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, but it's a thing where you got a good this is a really beautiful home. It really shows. I mean, there's a lot of like you got the outdoor entertainment, you got the pool, you've got the wine cellar, you've got a nice layout. This is definitely someone that likes to entertain, and so it's very it's an attractive thing, and I think that the more you incorporate it, and show some of these people, because in Vegas you get a lot of people that they want to sell their home, but they don't necessarily want to have all people traipsing through their house. Well, this is a security tool. It makes it to where hey, you got to show us financials, and you've got to have walked through the house virtually before you can come, and it does weed out the looky-loos, and it can weed, and depending upon the price point, you can weed out the people that just want to see the home. They're not gonna buy. So
true. There is the challenge with that house too is that it's got these great, you'd think this would be a selling feature, but they're like, I don't know if you've heard of Aladdin shutters, but it's that same idea. They've got these security shutters on the back that are electronically switched. But the problem is that when it's down, like it is now, when nobody's looking at the house, it's pretty dark in there.
Right.
And so I've got to go over and open up the house and turn all the lights on and get it show ready so it can actually present well. Otherwise, somebody's going to walk in and say it's too dark and leave, because they don't know how to open it all up and get it all lit up like it should be. So that's just, and so I've been there, I've turned on and turned off that house about 60 times, which, is, I'll be honest, getting a little old, but
yeah, well,
it is what it is.
Yeah,
it's not a bad commission when you get it, but it may not come right away. You know how that is.
Yep. Well, hey, Dean, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time and giving us an insight, because, and this is something that you see is, something that you're going to be doing, in the future,
Sure.
And now that we've talked a little bit, I think that if you do farm a market and you have a couple of these in a market that you want to go after, I think you'll get more listings, and you'll definitely get the buyers, because the buyers want to see, in a development, they want to see, different layouts and what can. So.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right, man. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.